All right, it's time to review or discuss Knock Knock, Eli Roth's Knock Knock, which was just brought to my attention recently that this is a remake, which I did not know about. So thank you to Ray Robinson for pointing that out to me. I bought this movie just for this review, and this review was requested by Peter Benevente, who bought me the Fly collection on Blu-ray from Scream Factory to review this and a few other movies. So you'll see those soon enough, but we're going to start with Knock Knock. And this is the first film from him since he kind of made a exit from filmmaking for a while after Hostel 2. There was like a 10-year gap in between, and then he finally came back. Did he come back with this or Green Inferno? I thought it was this. Wait, now I'm confused. Now I have Green Inferno sitting right here. This is 2015, and this is 2000 and... Which one came first? Well, whatever. I think it was Knock Knock. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure you will. You always do. All right, so I thought this was ironic because I watched this on Father's Day. And it is set on Father's Day. Crazy. I had no idea. I completely forgot that this was set on Father's Day in the opening scene. And I was like, oh shit, well, that's perfect. And I was going to record this review and another review that night. But I got kind of surprised with a hotel getaway, even though it was right up the street from my house, for a couple days. And I haven't been home in like 3 days. The first time I've been home since Saturday, I think. Yeah, Saturday. So it's been a while. It's been a while. And it was Wednesday? Jesus Christ. So yeah, I watched this a few days ago, so let's talk about it. This currently has a 4.99 on IMDb. Absurd. What an absurd thing. This is just the Eli Roth hate train in action right there. A 4.9. It's not even in the fives. The fives. Fucking 4.9. This is not a 4.9 movie. Maybe to some people, but the general consensus on this movie really is a 4.9. I don't buy that. The tits alone in this movie make this higher than a 4.9, but it's not just that by any means. Now, I will say, the first time I watched this movie, I thought Keanu Reeves' acting in the later half of the movie when he's tied up and he's like doing the whole, you sucked my cock, like that stuff. It's free pizza, all that stuff. I thought it was terrible. Like, I thought it was embarrassing for his career. That acting performance in those specific scenes. So this time I was like waiting for those scenes to be like, oh, here we go again. And while they're not amazing, I don't think they were that bad this time. I was like, oh, I kind of conflated that. Like, this isn't anywhere near as bad as I thought it was. So kind of odd how on second viewing, when you're prepped for something you think you're going to dislike, it sometimes makes you see how not bad it is and how much you've really kind of just blown it out of proportion. But yeah, so I was pretty surprised by that. Now, one of the ladies in here, Lorenza Izzo, is Eli Roth's wife, although I guess she's filed for divorce now. But I always find that odd when, not like odd in a bad way, but just odd that a guy puts his wife in a movie and presents her in such a sexual way, shows tons of gratuitous nudity, sex scenes, whatnot, when a sex symbol like Keanu Reeves is the one fucking them. That'd be an interesting thing to do with your wife. It's like, all right, have Keanu Reeves, which so many women are, obsessed with. Like, hey, how about you fuck her in front of me? Maybe he's a cuck. Maybe he's into that thing. Who knows? But no, I mean, people see it as artistic and all this, and I'm fine with that. As I said, I'm not dissing it. Now, when it's your daughter, like Dario Argento with Asia Argento, or Asha, I think is how that's pronounced, that's when it does get a little weirder. But I've actually had that discussion where I was like, well, they're Italian, this and that. People are like, oh, that's not how it works out here. And have actually accused me of all sorts of weird shit because of that. And I'm like, I'm just saying, like, I don't know. I don't live over there. I know Europeans are much more laxed on nudity. Like they just put porn on TV and they fucking like have nudity and commercials and shit. So I've heard, and I'm like, yeah. So nudity to them isn't a big deal, but these are sexual acts. I don't know. This is your wife, so it's a little different. This is a woman you actually do have sexual relations with, so this is nothing new to you. So I don't know. Would I, if I was a director, would I put my wife on screen nude getting fucked by another man? I don't know. It's a good question. I'd have to think about it. It'd have to be, yeah, I don't know. I wrote the scene for her too. I casted her. Like he clearly like intended for this. Now I don't know if he wrote the part with her in mind per se. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. I mean, he uses her in Green Inferno as well. I think she's nude in that too. He just likes seeing his wife naked. She's a beautiful woman with an incredible body, so I don't blame him there. And I'm happy he shared. Now he's going to be sharing her with everyone because of the divorce. Now she can fuck anyone she wants. Ain't that a bitch? Now, what I really like about this movie is there's a lot of questions in here that I feel are, not just surface level, like guy cheats on his wife, he's a piece of shit, he deserves it kind of things. Because I think there's a couple of ways this movie could have went that would make it kind of generic to me. And there's just some nuances in here that make me go, there's a little bit more going on here than people may give it credit for. Number one, the guy clearly loves his wife and his family. Like, this isn't one of those scenarios where this guy's a total piece of shit, he's just cheating behind his wife's back. Nothing like that at all. He clearly loves his wife and he clearly is into his family. And that's just it. I think there's people who will watch this and they won't be able to distance themselves from their own personal stance on things or their own personal beliefs, where it's like, if you were 100% happy, you'd never cheat. Like, I'd never fuck around on somebody, so that means that anyone who does cheat is a piece of shit and is unhappy and this and that. And I just don't think that's the case. And I think that this movie is a fair argument for that. Like, and another thing is that he really, really tries to say no. Now, this is where I don't know how women will, take offense to this and all this and that, because anytime you bring sex into the equation and you're like generalizing things, I don't want to do that, but I do feel like it's relevant here. Men are much more susceptible to seduction than women. I'm not saying that women can't be seduced. Sure, they can. But when men are just easier targets. I think that we mostly know that. I mean, it's just, there's only so much some men can take. Not all men. There's men that are just like, fuck that. And I might contradict myself here, because I would say that this is the kind of scenario that would be my downfall. But that being said, I don't think this particular scenario would be my downfall, because I don't find, and now I'm not saying that this is an impossibility, because you never say never, you don't know. But from my own personal experiences, I don't honestly think I would cheat on someone I was super happy with. Like, if I was in a loving relationship with an awesome family, this and that, and these girls came over, because I'm a stubborn son of a bitch. It would be one thing if we developed this relationship over time, this and that, and I was like fucking like thinking about it all the time. But some young hot chick showing up at my door and seducing me with the way that they do, he constantly says no and they keep pushing it. Which I think this movie is a great example of male rape. Now people are like, oh, that's out of control, that's ridiculous, that's outrageous, he's completely consensual. 100%, I agree with you. I'm not saying this is rape. I'm saying that this is one of the closest that you can get to a female raping a man, because he's constantly saying no. And yeah, men do this with women all the time. And I don't think a guy should stop at the first no, but he should stop at the first no in the moment. Like, when you're trying to get with a girl and she says no, you stop immediately. But that doesn't mean that you stop forever. That doesn't mean like you take her on a date, like you never take her on a date, you never see her again because she said no the first. No. If every guy stopped at the first no, you'd have no humans on planet Earth. Almost most chicks are going to be like, no, not yet. Like, I want to wait. I want to make it special, this and that. And you're like, okay, cool, let's wait. And then a couple dates later, whatever. You try again, and she's like, not yet. Okay, that's another no that you stop at. But then you try again later, days later, weeks later, whatever, when the moment feels right. And then you're like, no. And then when she finally gives you the yes, you know what I mean? But this is all in one moment. This is all like, no, no, and he keeps pushing him off. He's clearly checking his phone. But these chicks are doing this on purpose, obviously. They get off on this shit. And that's just it. That's another aspect of this movie that's interesting. They're stalking this guy. Like, they were listening in on his family's, banter in the morning, because they repeat some of the stuff he was saying with the monster, this and that. So they were outside the window. They were in the house, something. They were eavesdropping. They were dropping some eaves, Samwise Gamgee style, on this fucking guy's family. So they were purposely seeking this guy out. And so, and that's another thing. They totally enjoy fucking him. It's not like, and I don't want to give too many spoilers for the movie Red, White, and Blue. I can't do it. Just because if you haven't seen it, I don't want to say anything. But there's more of a way more malicious intent there with no, she's not getting anything out of it. This, on the other hand, is like they're enjoying themselves. And even after the fact, even after they're getting on this guy, and they've lied to him and they told him that they're underage because he tries to call the cops, and they're like, I'm 15. Bullshit. Immediately I would have been like, bullshit. There are girls that are 15 and they look older. No doubt about it. I've met plenty of 15, 16, 17-year-old girls that you're like, you're fucking what now? They look 20 something, whatever. These girls do not look 15. Not these chicks. Not these chicks. One of them, the blonde one, she says she's 18. At the end, she's like, oh, I just celebrated my 18th birthday in reality. Bullshit, that girl's 18. Not even close. She's somewhere in her mid-20s. But it doesn't matter. Whatever. But, now 17, if she would have said 17, maybe. But 15, no way. Regardless, it doesn't matter. 17. I think the reason he made it 15 is because, and this is something I've always found very bizarre, every state is different. There's only so many states where 18 is the legal age. There's some states where it's 17, there's some states where it's 16. Like in New York or something, it's 17. Nevada, it's 16. Stuff like that, where it's like, so you're a pedophile here, but you're not a pedophile there? And they're bordering each other? Arizona's 18, Nevada's 16? They literally border each other. So you drive 1 mile this way and it's totally okay, and you drive 1 mile this way and you're a pedophile? That's weird. That's such a bizarre thing. Anyway, but if you ever talk about it, people are like, why are you thinking about that so much? Or some weird shit. And you're like, it's an interesting fact, don't you think? I think it is. Anyway, but I just find it fascinating. Everything about this. I find the whole situation fascinating from his perspective and their perspective. Because the way they seduce him, they're smart about their seduction. The way they present their seduction is the smart aspect. They present it in this way that they're flight attendants, that they fly everywhere, and that they live this, kind of, you only live once life. I'm never going to say YOLO. So you only live once kind of life, where they're like, fuck it. We just like to experience sex, and they're so open about their sexuality, and he's never been around people like that, this and that. So they very much set it up like, this is something we do. You're never going to hear from us again. You should just enjoy yourself while you have the moment. And they sell it that way very hard. And he's sitting there as a guy who hasn't gotten laid in over 3 weeks from his wife. He has kids now. They run in when they're trying to have sex. Kids ruin relationships. Any problems that your relationship has, your kids will expose. Okay? So if your relationship has chinks in it, anywhere in the armor, the kids are going to find those, and they're going to pound on them, and they're going to completely expose all of your fucking problems. Problems you never knew you had, all of a sudden come up when you have kids. And they destroy your sex life. So they're very, very, very difficult on a relationship. And this is a guy who, he wants to have sex, and he's an attractive wife, and of course he'd love to fuck her, but she's so busy. But they love each other. It's not like she's some like super prude. No, I get it. The way they presented in this is very real. She's busy. She's got these art shows. She's got this. The kids are running in the room. They break the mood. All this stuff. It makes sense. But then, you know, these girls come in and they pay attention to his DJing, which, you know, probably no one has in forever. And they comment on his body and how muscular he is, and they feel his body, and they address him like he's youthful again. They remind him of a time before kids, before the family, before he sold out to architecture, back when he was just a DJ having fun. Like, they're very smart about their seduction, and he tries every single thing in his power. He's such a gentleman. He has no intentions of fucking these girls in the opening. It's not like they come in and he's like, oh, hey, baby. But that's another thing that I find interesting, is like, it's so interesting who we will let in our house versus who we won't let in our house. Like, if you see a gorgeous, unbelievably hot chick hitchhiking on the side of the road, 9 times out of 10, a dude's going to pick her up. They're just gonna. They're going to be like, fuck, I'm getting her. But some dude or something? Fuck no. Especially if he looks like, some way that people find, scary in appearance, or non-appealing or dangerous or any of those kinds of things. Like, it's just interesting. It's a bias. It's a total fucking bias. Like, it's something that people are like, oh, well, don't have prejudice and don't have this and that. We do it all the time. And this is proof of that. This is the kind of shit I'm talking about. When people are like, oh, you can't have these kinds of things. Bullshit. People have them. When a gorgeous 20-something-year-old, 2 gorgeous 20-something-year-olds come to your door in the winter. There's some guys, there's some people who would be like, get the fuck out of here. No, I'm sorry, I can't do that. I have kids that live here, this and that. But then there's other people who are like, I don't see you as a threat. And yeah, they're beautiful. So it's like, you're almost subconsciously being like, I trust these kinds of people. Like, I'd like to fuck these kinds of people. It's not like I want to fuck these people. It's the kind of people I would fuck. They're not threatening. I want to help them out. I want to be that guy who helps out the beautiful babes in distress, you know? So you let them into your home. This is like the porno version of The Strangers. Like, if he opened up that door, and Dollface was there, and the girl who plays Dollface is fucking gorgeous, so she would have just came without the fucking thing and not taken out the light. He probably would have invited her ass right in, and that movie would have been a whole hell of a lot different. He would be like, well, I'm single. Yeah, come on in. Hey, Liv, whatever the hell her name is in that movie. You didn't want to marry me, so look at my new girlfriend. Pretty hot, huh? He'd use her as some kind of jealousy ploy. But yeah, there's so many interesting angles to this. He doesn't want to do it. But the seduction is so intelligent, and they are so forceful about it. And he's trying to be resilient. And I get it. There will be people who don't understand it. They'll be like, nope, he's a piece of shit. That's this and that. Like, he should have kicked him out. He should have never let him in. I get it. But I think you're not seeing it from other people's perspective. And you might not like those kinds of people. You might sit there and be like, well, fuck those kinds of people. I want to see it from their perspective. That's fine. That's your own right. Maybe I see it this way because I'm biased and I understand that. But I guess what I guess differs from me, and as I said, I don't want to ever say never, but at the same time, a seduction, I don't know if I've ever been seduced like this by 2 unbelievably gorgeous women who you come in on the bathroom and they're naked and they're pulling at your dick and they're grabbing at you and they're pulling it out of your pants and they start sucking on it and whatnot. Do you have any idea how hard it would be? And I'm not just talking about my dick. I'm serious. Like, do you have any idea how hard it would be to the girls in this movie? You walked in on them completely nude. Your life is filled with kids and problems and this and that. Who knows what the rest of his life is like? We don't know. Maybe his sex with his wife, even though he loves her, isn't even that great. They've never really had a great connection. I've had that happen. It's an unfortunate thing, but it does happen. Or you've lost all the spark in your relationship and you're just wanting that fucking feeling again. And here it's presented to you and these girls are like, no one will ever know. And that's your problem. And this is like a theme in his movies, using sex as a weapon, and cheating is, comes with consequences and whatnot. So he must really be into sex, or someone really has used sex against him, something, or both. but just everything about it, and the way they torture him, and the way that they play in their minds. And the blonde chick is like, obviously was fucked by her father, and she has serious daddy issues, which any guy knows is the girls that are the best in bed. Unfortunately, it's a nightmare because they're just so fun sexually, and then everywhere else they're just jacked in the head is when they have hard daddy issues. But this girl's like fucking him in his daughter's outfit, which they film, because their intention here is to expose unfaithful men, which they say no one has ever said no, and you were the closest and you're our favorite, like you got so close, but men are pieces of shit, they can't help themselves. And it's like, you're not putting them under the right circumstances, though. This isn't reality. This isn't the kind of, like, he's not a cheater, he's not a piece of shit, as he yells in this movie. I'm not a bad guy, I'm not a bad father. He's not. I don't see it that way. He makes a mistake. That's what he says. I made a mistake. I made a mistake. Haven't you ever made a mistake before? Yes, absolutely. I wish I could say I didn't, but that wouldn't be human. Maybe you're not a cheat, but you fucked up somewhere else in your life, I guarantee it. There's some place where you yourself have flaws, have done things where you look back and you're like, that wasn't good. This is one of those areas. And as a guy, when these girls come over and they present themselves to him in this way, and they're so forceful about it, and then he goes, well, fuck, he kind of gives into it. And it's one of those moments of like pure lust. It's like when people get off of killing people because they have like a moment of, they have this like intense moment where they're just like filled with rage, and then like the whole, premeditated murder is like gets you way more years, but like a moment of like pure passion, like a passion killing, where it's like just somebody walk in on like somebody molesting your kid, you just grab a gun and you shoot him. It's like this instant reaction. It's like that. He's in the moment. And when your dick is in this girl's mouth and she's got her tits out and her friends like sucking your balls, and you can fucking fill in the blanks as a guy would in these scenarios, and you're sitting like, but you can't turn that shit down in the moment. I know my stubborn ass would have kicked their fucking asses out of there, because I know one piece of advice my really, really horrible stepfather ever gave me that I never understood at the time, but I understood later on in life, that gave me some, it was a great set of words that he gave to me, and I didn't get it at the time, but I did get it later on. And he said, the only way to make sure that you never cheat is never to put yourself in the position to do so. And I never got that back then, but as I started dating and I started getting into relationships, it's like, don't go over to have drinks at some chick's house. Like, where the fuck do you think that's going to lead? Maybe it might not lead there, but the odds increase dramatically. You're not going to start fucking some girl in front of all your coworkers. You're not going to, you don't go back to their house. You don't take them back to your hotel room. You don't bring them out to your car. Those kinds of places where it's an intimate setting, where you guys are alone. Don't put yourself in that position, especially with like alcohol, when your inhibitions are low. No, you don't put yourself in those kinds of situations. These kinds of girls, where you're letting them in your house and they're hanging out and they're like, oh, can we take off our clothes and put on robes? Of course he's playing to it because they're gorgeous, and there's a little part of him that's like, ooh, I want it. And it's like, no, okay, that's not cheating. That's not crossing the line. And then they let it go a little more, and he gets so uncomfortable so many times where he's like, oh, I shouldn't be doing this. And he gets away, and he moves, and he's like, keeps checking his phone. Like, why isn't this fucking Uber driver here faster? Like, I want him to get here. And then he gets his shit, and he comes in, and he's like, girl, it's time to go. Like, get out. Please go. I can't take this anymore. I'm going to fucking cheat. I don't want to cheat. He doesn't want to do it. And as I said, people will be like, then he shouldn't have. Those kinds of people, they're not seeing it. They're seeing it on, they're not being able to attach themselves from their bias. And I get that. I do get it. But I get it from both perspectives. I get it from the guy who would be like, fuck no, at least I hope so. And I also get it as the guy who loves women, and seeing two women like this, nude in my bathroom, dropping to their knees when I haven't been laid in a long time, and it would be so hard. And when they're sitting there telling you, no one's ever going to find out, sex is natural, people are, these are girls that are telling him like, I'll try anything, anything should be done one, and they're loving it the whole time that's going on. It's not like it's completely consensual in the time. And they ruin his life over cheating on his wife. Cheating on your wife, I'm sorry, I know it's not great. I'm not saying it is. But ruining your life and killing you, I mean, they don't end up killing him in the end, but they might as well have. That's just it, too. At the end of this movie, when they leave him alive, it's like seen as mercy. Like, who you think really going to kill you? They should have. His life's fucking over. They set him up for murder. They put a video of him fucking some girl that's not his wife in his daughter's outfit while calling her, and she's calling him daddy, and he's saying, yeah, give it to me and all this shit. Get the fuck out of here. They reveal themselves to his physical therapist. This guy's life's over, beyond over. They trash all it. I want to know what happened after this movie. That's what I'm fascinated by. Like, his wife walks in, there's this shit everywhere, this and that. She already has a jealousy of younger women. They kind of allude to that in the beginning where she brings up some young chick and all this stuff. Like, what's life like after this movie? What happened to this guy? He went to jail for murder? I would have went to the cops immediately and been like, this is what happened. This is what fucking happened. And I'm sure you can find a whole ton of other guys that will attest to the same thing. Get a big court case and go track these chicks down. I'm sure there will be guys that will come forward. You could find them. Trust me, you could find them. Oh, when she says, like, I have evidence, and like she pulls down her pants and shows some of her pussy, like she's got cum inside of her and stuff. Even though that's fucked up, it's like it was so hot in the moment. I was like, oh God, this is why it's like sex is a weapon. Sex is a fucking weapon, man. Like, women, beautiful young women like this, I don't think they completely comprehend. Some of them do. The girls in this movie do. But some of them, and thank God, I think, because who knows, but there's a lot of women out there, I don't think they even can contemplate the power they have. They just don't get it. They don't understand what men will go to. Now, I think it might be a little different now because porno is so readily available, and Tinder and prostitution. Like, guys can get a lot more than they once did, but I still think it's extremely potent and dangerous. Fucking dangerous. And this movie, I think it presents it very, very well. And then they sound torture him too. Ooh, that's brutal. Have you ever had like really loud sound? I have a problem with my right ear. And so like any loud sounds really, really hurts. Having them put those things, and he's like, I'm gonna go fucking deaf. Brutal. I feel like a lot of the stuff he says in this movie is stuff I'd be screaming at the screen, screaming at these chicks at the same time. Like, you're gonna fucking kill me? For what? For fucking you? For fucking you? You sucked my dick. Like, the shit he yells at them, this time around, I was like, 100%. I'm with him 100%. Like, when he's saying all this stuff to him, I'm like, he made a mistake. You fucking seduced him. He's the fucking victim here. He is the victim of this movie. For me. These girls are not the fucking victim. These girls are villains. They exploit their gorgeous attributes and use it against guys because they think that they're getting revenge against their shitty fathers or something. They're exposing philanthropers. Is that how you say that? Whatever. Cheaters. People who are unfaithful. I don't know, man. It's like that argument that they have in Saw where they're like, oh, you're not a murderer, and then Eric Matthews like, well, yeah, putting a gun to someone's head and making them kill themselves or kill somebody else, or I can't remember what he says there, but something along those lines makes you a murderer. 100%. If I put a gun to your head and I say, kill that person, you're not the murderer, I am. You didn't have a choice. No, he did have a choice, so this is a little different. I do want to clarify. But this isn't the same. He didn't seek you out. You came to his fucking door in the middle of the night. You seduced him, and you fucking know it. I'm sorry. Anybody, like, I get it. But at the same time, I don't know. I guess maybe because I am kind of a guy like this that would maybe fall victim to this, I'm more angry about it and trying to defend it. But it is. It kind of pisses me off when I watch it. This is partially his fault. But this is more their fault than his fault. It is. It's true. And if you don't see it that way, I get it. And I'm not going to say you're wrong. This is the way I see it. And I think that I've presented my case strong enough in my opinion. And that's that. So there you go, Peter. This is a big fucking game to these chicks. And it's so fucked. It's so fucked. But good movie. I really like this. Does not deserve a 4.9. But Peter, you do deserve a good review. I hope you got it. And thank you for picking this one. It's one I've wanted to revisit, especially for the nudity and the sex scenes, because they are pretty hot. I did enjoy that aspect of it. But the whole film as a whole, I did enjoy very much. I didn't even mention the guy they killed. So they did kill somebody. But he fell and killed himself, and then they just kind of wrapped up the body and then used it as like, oh, well, now we get to frame him for murder, too. So that works out as well. But yeah, they're not murderers. They just want to... But I guess they are a murderer here. Although they kind of are murderers because they destroyed this guy's life. His guy's life over. He might as well be dead. So they murdered his life. So they're technically murderers and almost rapists in my eyes. So, really interesting stuff here. What do you guys think? Let me know if anyone's still here. Adios.